Hey everyone, talking about my spray routine or sample routine for when I'm sampling fragrance. I'll do a separate one if it's like about my spray routine for bottles, but this is specifically about how I go about it when sampling stuff for like the first or one of the first times. So yeah, it's gonna depend a little bit if it's like really a dabber type versus like a spray, but only for the first kind of steps of it, and I'll get into that. So first, try it on a test strip, and either if it's a spray it on one, and I will link in the description. I have a video that I've done of like 3 different ways you can use dabbers to test, and one of them is that I cut up test strips and dip it into it. So first, trying it on a test strip, if it smells very appealing or intriguing there, then try it on skin. And usually it ends up stopping there at that point for me, because so often it does not smell as good with my skin chemistry. It just doesn't work the way I want it to. But if it does still really smell good, both on the test strip and on my skin, then I will wait a day, 24 hours or more, because you didn't know what a day was until I clarified, and see if it's something that I can't stop thinking about. If not, it's done. Move on, sell or give away the sample, whatever. And if it is something that I just can't stop thinking about, and it has to be like a natural, organic thing of just like, not just like I'm trying to make my, like, remember that fragrance, like, then if I can't stop thinking about it, and it almost feels, as I compared it to, I'll also link this in the description, when I did of like factors that make a fragrance full bottle worthy for me. If it feels like I have a crush on the fragrance type of thing, like I just can't stop thinking about it and I almost feel giddy, like, oh, I can't wait to try that again, then I will try it again and wait another day. And if I'm still attached to it and I like, all the phases on my skin, opening, mid, dry down, and I also like it on my clothes, then it is full bottle time. And so getting, kind of explaining a few more of the phases there. If I don't like it on the test strip, I don't want to try it further, because I want to like it on my clothes. I want to like it, I want to like it off the nozzle, like everything. I don't want, in general, with like 1 or 2 rare exceptions, I don't want a fragrance that only works for me on skin, because a lot of times I like to wear it on my shirt, like primarily for a lot of it. So if it's gonna smell bad to me, except, or just kind of like, okay, like, except when it comes to life interacting with my skin, that's just not for me. And everybody has their own taste in that. But yeah, I will say, like, because I'm trying stuff often to do a review, then I will often test it on skin for that reason. So it's not like everything I review I've only ever tested on a test strip, because I do want to see, especially for projection and longevity, I don't go off too much of my reviews like just what it is like on my skin, because that is so subjective to skin chemistry, and I think that a test strip is actually a more neutral thing to do a review based off of. But I do test on skin often for, projection, longevity, stuff like that for review. But if I'm not talking about what I'm doing for review, and just if it's just about like analyzing the scent, so. And also, like, I don't want to waste my day's wearable scent on a sample that might suck. I don't want to be stuck with a scrubber. So that is another reason that I always test on a test strip first, because if something's like just disgusting to me on there, no, like, I don't want that on my skin. Like, sometimes even with a scrubber, it can be really, I mean, you see this in, Fragrantica reviews or other people sometimes, where it'll just be like, I scrubbed and I couldn't get it off even after I took a shower. Like, oh, hell no, I don't want that. So this is my sample routine, and this helps me make sure that I'm really in touch with how much I actually love a fragrance or not. Because sometimes, and I do this too, like, the first time you smell something, as long as it doesn't smell bad, it's so exciting of just like, ooh, that's so good, yeah, ooh, I found a good fragrance. Like, it's just exciting to, you kind of like, at least, and I'm not saying everybody does this, but I know a lot of people do, and I certainly do, where it can almost feel like, yes, I'm so excited, oh, this, yeah, hell yeah, and then like you want to go and buy a bottle or something, right? I mean, if it's expensive, maybe you don't go rush and buy one right then, but you kind of get that urge sometimes, or at least I do, of just that initial rush of it. Kind of like, say that you went on a date with someone or something, and they were hot in their picture. That doesn't necessarily mean that you want to marry them. So maybe test it out at first before, jumping all the way there. But yeah, so for me, that's kind of how it goes. And I need to feel like, okay, I know that if I've like tested on test drive, okay, then it smells good on a neutral surface, test it out on my skin, works with my skin chemistry, which so many things don't. So that's another thing. I would never buy something without testing it on skin first. And not only both of those, but then it's not something that I just end up sort of forgetting about, but that I'm actually like, yep, I feel like a connection to the scent, like I really love this, then it is bottle time. So yeah, I hope that to encourage people, do not feel pressure to test on skin if you don't actively want to, especially if it doesn't pass the test of a test strip first. Not that you shouldn't if you do, but a lot of times you'll see people saying like, just outright talking shit on people who use a test strip to test. And I get it, because it's like, in the fragrance world, including with a lot of prestigious perfumers, that is very looked down upon a lot of the time. It's just like, oh, it has to come to life on skin. And it's like, okay, I get that if you're wearing it. But even then, no, like oftentimes I like to just wear it on my shirt and maybe a little on my arms or something. And I get a lot out of that. But yeah, there's very legit reasons to want to test on a test strip first. So don't let anybody make you feel like you shouldn't do that if you like the sound of that. But yeah, I'm curious what anybody else's kind of sample routine is like, and if anything is different for you, or how you decide about what kind of gets to that next step. How many times do you try to sample it before you buy it? Because that's the other thing too. I can make up my mind very quickly. I mean, I like how I just said, like, I smell it and I'm convinced I want a bottle right away, but within a few tries. So I know a lot of people think, they feel like they want to get like a 10 milliliter or at least a 5 milliliter decant to do a lot of wears of it before making up your mind. If you really do need that, sure, go for it, obviously. But again, don't let people make you feel like you have to do that, because I know for me at least, I know like very early on within a few smells that if I have to think, yeah, I guess I'll give this a few more tries, that's just not something for me. I'm not going to end up falling in love with it. Some people do, and that's just how they are, but that's not how I am with people, fragrance, just like anything really. So yeah, I need to kind of feel that connection to it from the beginning. But yep, I love sampling stuff. Definitely encourage doing that over blind buying whenever possible. And one more video, I guess I'll link in the description, is my reasons why I personally don't do blind buys. But yeah, thanks for watching. And if you have any different, routines or advice for anybody else, feel free to jump in.